The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. Here we go, season 3. Did you just belch?
No, I snorted because I was waiting.
God.
I was all ready to go. And
That is staying in. We are not taking that out. Season 3 starts with a snort, ladies and gentlemen.
With a snort. Oh my God. I was waiting for you. You were slow.
We are hitting season 3, and our very first episode is going to be a whopper with I think one of our greatest interviews of all time.
I love this woman. Holly Hughes. She is an author, a life coach, an intuitive healer. She knows it all, and she is amazing.
That is coming up next. Snort. Season 3, Episode 1. Hangin' with Holly is next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
What, you beautiful souls. I'm so excited to have this platform where I can share my gifts, the things that I do, what we need to do as a collective energy to really step into soul's path. Reiki and healing and alignment. Oh my goodness, these are all so very important in what we do. I have a daily podcast that I do. You can find me on Spotify and Anchor for your daily vibes, your energies as a collective unit, right? You can also find me on my Facebook page where I really go more in depth with it, but you can find me at Mystic Karma by Victoria.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
We can't start the segment off with a snort. No snorts this time.
We did it, though. We did it, Todd. We made it to season 3. I can't believe this. This is amazing.
I really feel, though, like I feel like things are winding up. I'm thinking that season 3 will be about 8 episodes, which, you know what? A lot of podcasts do 8-episode seasons.
Yeah,
so
they do.
If you put us up against that, we've already done 4 seasons.
We're way ahead of the competition.
Think of all the live casts we've done, all the bonus episodes. Give me a break. Where do you get, how can you get all this entertainment for almost nothing?
For nothing, for literally nothing.
4 easy payments of $99.99 right now, and this podcast is yours.
Hey, did you ever know why they do that? Why they don't say $50? They say $49.99?
Well, actually, did you see something in show prep on that the other day?
No.
Oh, because there was actually some show prep where they do it because it sounds a little cheaper. Because people do look at $49.99 as $40 and not $50 sometimes.
Yep, it's true.
And now, but however, in the digital age of things, there's actually kind of some kickback on that. So companies that use the $49.99 are actually being looked down upon by millennials. So
interesting. Millennials are all over the place. I learned that years ago when I was a manager in retail in a clothing store. And we learned that, ironically enough, at the same time that I was in college and I was taking marketing classes, and we learned it's all psychological.
Yep.
So it's so interesting to me, not to get that far off topic, but I just thought that was kind of a neat thing.
They did it too.
Psychologically.
Like in grocery stores, they'll do 10 for 10. Well, it's $1. Okay, it's $1. They just get you to buy more. 2 for $5. Well, it's just $2.50. But if I can get it for $5, I'll buy 2. See how that works?
And it's not because you're stupid. It's just psychologically, that's how you're wired to think.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of cool and kind of interesting. Like I said, not to get too far off topic, but so this is an amazing Sunday, Todd, because we're kicking off season 3. We're going to have this super cool season. We've already been brainstorming, coming up with new ideas, things that we want to do, directions we want to take the podcast in. And I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think season 3 looks like it's going to be a little bit of season 1, a little bit of season 2, and expanding in some areas that we feel we want to expand. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll find out. It'll be either be the next plateau for us or the next kind of curve up, or it will be the death of us, one or the other. I predict it'll be one or the other.
Cake or death. if anybody knows what I'm referring to, you are a superstar. Do you have any idea?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know.
There is a comedian from the UK named Eddie Izzard.
Don't know.
And he is absolutely hilarious. He's sort of like a cross-dressing... he wears men's clothing, but he's always in makeup, and he's just absolutely hilarious. And one of his routines is called Cake or Death. And it's just so funny. If you ever get a chance to YouTube it, just go on and put in Eddie Izzard, Cake or Death, and it's very, very funny. So that's always something I think about when anybody says the word death. Cake or death. Anyway.
Talking about comedians, I want to throw a little push out there, and maybe we can put it in our show notes too. There's a comedian that I went to see a couple of weeks ago. His name is Drew Lynch. And he was somebody that won America's Got Talent, I think, one year. He is a comedian who a few years ago was playing softball, and the ball bounced off the ground and hit him very hard in the throat, and he went flying back and hit his head. Well, he went home that night and slept on a concussion, which you're not supposed to do. And he ended up with a really wicked stutter because of it. And so he came out and went on America's Got Talent, or America's Most Talented, or America's Most Wanted, or something like that. And I think he won first place, and he's a very funny guy. He has a special out right now, and it's a lot of the same material I saw, which is very good. And you can find it for free on YouTube. It's free. It's like a special you'd see on HBO or something like that, but it's free. And it's very good. And it talks about COVID, and it talks about elections, and it talks about gun violence, and it talks about transgender stuff in a way that's not in any way controversial. And I don't want to give anything away, but he said one of the jokes he does, and of course I don't do it as well as him because number one, I don't stutter much. And number two, I don't know the exact verbiage of it, but one of his jokes is, gun violence, okay? One side says you got to fix mental health. That's the problem. We got to fix mental health in this country. And then the other side says we got to ban guns. He goes, well, listen, I don't think we're going to be able to fix mental health. And I don't think banning guns is right. I think you've got the wrong issue here. We need to close the schools and get rid of schools, right? And everybody's laughing their asses out. He goes, listen, we went a whole year without kids going to school and not one mass shooting in a school. There's your answer.
It's true.
And he goes out and he says, he goes, here's another profession where all the white men are getting the job. Nobody else is doing the mass shootings but white guys. It's like, women, you got to step up. It's your turn now. And then he's like, it should be a gay man because he'll just come in with a flare gun and like dance, have jazz hands and stuff. But it's really funny. And he takes things like transgender and even politics, and he faces them with humor. He doesn't have any answers. It doesn't get political, but it's very funny the way he does it. And if you got an hour or so and you want some fun laughter at night, check out Drew Lynch on YouTube. He's got a special out right now.
And here's a cool tip. If you have a smart TV, I do this all the time with Discovery Plus, with YouTube. All you have to do is cast it over onto your TV. Then you have your great big TV. You get to watch a comedian. This is a time when we should be kind of turning to our comedians because we just need that relief from everyday life. And so I'm going to check that one out. I know you sent me the link the other day, but I think I am going to check it out.
And like everything else, she doesn't even look at it. So
because sometimes you send me things that make fun of me, and I don't want to open them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is that really why? Is that why?
Yes, seriously.
Oh, you poor
thing.
I'm
like, what is he making fun of me about now? So there, that's why. Anyways, so we're very happy to be here for season 3. We hope you guys are enjoying everything that we're doing. And we had a live cast not too long ago with Holly Hughes. She is just amazing, and I think you're really going to enjoy this episode.
It's season 3, episode 2. This is Hangin' with Holly. Nope. It's season 3, episode 1, Hangin' with Holly on the Todd and Sandy fuck.
I'm leaving this in here.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
It's season 3, episode 1, Hangin' with Holly on the Sandy and Todd fuck.
I wanted to tell everybody about this. Yesterday, and if you are in our group, you've already seen pictures. Dave and I took the day. My mom watched Spike, and we went up to Watertown, New York, which is about just under 2 hours away north of us here in central New York. And we visited Thompson Park, which is absolutely gorgeous. And if you're watching or listening and you're within a couple hours drive of Watertown, please go. Just go. It's the city itself is very nice, but then Thompson Park is just gorgeous. It's manicured. It's beautiful. They have all kinds of stuff that you can do, including the Thompson Park portal vortex. And you may be saying, what in the world are you talking about? Well, I've been hearing about this for a very long time. There is a local legend / lore about this one area of Thompson Park. It's not that hard to find. And you can always message me and I'll tell you exactly how to get there. It's so easy. I thought it was going to be tough. It's so easy. There's this one section of the park where people have experienced over the years, since the 1800s, disorientation, memory loss, time loss. One of my favorite legends is somebody actually disappeared and never came back after visiting it many, many years ago. But the park was opened in 1905. And so this legend has sort of been around since then. And in 2013, they made it official and they put up a sign, an Area 51 sign with an alien to mark where they believe the vortex actually is. It's right next to their zoo. They have a zoo in the park.
Of course, that's the place where you place something like that, right next to the animals.
Right? And so it's right there. It's fun. I did have a little bit of an experience. The energy there is definitely a little different. There's a little bit of a shift. I didn't feel anything. I was thinking, oh, God, am I going to get the whole shebang and, head off to a parallel universe? Didn't happen. But I did feel a little bit dizzy at one point. And maybe for about 10 seconds, I felt a little bit disoriented, a little bit dizzy. So I don't know if that's due to the area or what. They say that it shifts around the park sometime over the last 100 years or so. A couple of the theories. In 2007, they invited a paranormal group named, I want to say it's Shadow Chasers. Pretty well known in central New York. And they went up there with equipment, they investigated, and their thought is that it's actually because there are many mineral deposits and rocks underneath that area that are kicking up high EMF. And EMF, we all know that, whether you're a paranormal investigator or you just watch the shows, high EMF can lead to disorientation and memory issues and time issues and just confusion in general. So that's one of the theories, and that's probably what I'm leaning towards. There's another theory that the park is part of ley lines. Now, ley lines are magnetic fields within the earth. And if you check out Stonehenge, the Mayan pyramids, they are all at the convergence of ley lines, which is pretty interesting. And they can actually affect areas. They've believed that they can help to open portals, vortexes. So that's another thought process on the park and the vortex. But I will say it's just fun going up there, hunting it down and checking it out. And whether or not you have an experience, I was kind of happy to just have a little bit of a weird experience myself. Definitely the energy does shift. I will give it that. But it was just a lot of fun. So you can see the pictures in our group. I posted them yesterday. We had a good time with it, Dave and I, and just a really nice park in general.
Did he really, or did he just go along because he's married to you?
It's probably.
Can we get him on? Dave, can you come on, please? Dave?
He's working. He had the truck tonight. He does. It's a little of both. It's a little of both. He's not as staunchly against all of this woo-woo as he was many years ago after being with me for so many years.
Wow, and he loves you, so of course he puts up with it, right? So he goes
along with me, but it was really fun. It was very interesting, and you can look it up.
Poor
it's
devil.
on the Haunted History Trail of New York State, so you can check that website out, too, for more information. Lots of fun. Very cool.
All right. Sounds good. We got so much to talk about in so little time. We've got to get to our guest. So,
well, Holly Hughes is an intuitive healer. She's an award-winning author and a public speaker. She infuses her unique personal style, her intuitive gifts, and personal healing stories to guide clients through a step-by-step process to help them kind of claim their voice, their passions, and, of course, their self-worth. Her book, Real Not Perfect, How to Become Your Happy, Authentic Self, I love that title, will help you to stop hiding behind people's expectations and discover the versions of you want to be. Todd and I are very excited to welcome Holly to the show.
Look at that. Look at her right there.
Love you, love you.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, it's so hard to listen to you talk about that story when I'm getting all this information just about you talking about it. So now I'm going to have to go in and look at the pictures because what it is, it's a portal. But for me, I think it's more interdimensional energy, being, whatever. I don't really understand in the name of the group that I'm hearing that comes through. It kind of sounds like Uriel, but that's an archangel. But it's definitely not a Palladian. It's not the other one that everyone always likes to talk about. But it's there and I could feel it. And they particularly likes the really tall shaded trees. And the energy goes by there. Yeah.
There they are. And you're right on here's another interesting, before we get too far into the interview, here's another interesting thing about it. The director of the CIA at the time that Area 51 was in its big heyday, his name was Stephen Dulles. He was from Watertown, and the code word for Area 51 at one point was Watertown. And that's where the tie-in comes in. And I totally believe what you're saying, because you can actually feel a shift in one specific spot. And as soon as I walked out of that area, I felt fine again.
Yeah, it's part of what knocked that third eye thing over for you. I want to move it back over so bad.
Listen, if that means a slap across the face, please go for it. I mean,
he's all in. He's all in.
You guys are so funny. Did you see me cracking up in the room? No. I was just cracking up.
This is us. This is how crazy we are.
This works.
We are so crazy. Well, so let's start with some background. Now, you are intuitive, obviously, very obviously. Did you know this from an early age? Did you understand this?
No, I mean, it was my normal. So how I didn't know that everyone else didn't see and feel what I thought. So I like to say that my grandparents collected antiques, which I will never, ever, 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 ever have a part of because there's so much stuff attached to that. But I had an antique, air quote, I hate that too, desk chair in my bedroom. And I had an old secretary's desk and it was like a wood thing. And there was a rose carved in the back of this chair. And I piled every article of clothing I had over that thing. Cause at night, all I would see is faces. And the rose, and I was scared. I was so afraid, deathly afraid of the dark because I just felt so much. So I didn't know that everyone didn't do this. When I got older, I didn't have the best control over my gifts. So I would know things, but again, no one ever told me about it. So what do you do with the feeling that you're feeling, right? So whatever. And then when I got in my 20s, when I would drink, dead people would show up, which is really annoying, right? When you're kind of drunk.
Can't even imagine.
And one of my favorite stories is I was even with my husband, we were out to dinner drinking sake, right? And then he had brought a friend along and he was sitting across the table from me. And then the father and the brother who had passed away were just looming. And I was like, I have such a nice buzz. What? Shut up. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to pay attention to you. And then I was like, so I said, hey, so do you want to hear what they have to say? And he said, sure. And then I related. And that same kind of incident, doing the same sort of thing, is how I actually met one of my best friends. I was at a writer's retreat. And she told the person 1 second ago, whatever the next question is, anyone asks me, it's going to be yes. I'm just going to say yes. And I had my glass of wine and I was like, so do you want to know who's standing behind you? And it was her grandfather. I described him to a T. and then relayed a lot of messages. And then she started crying because that's what happens. And then she went and called her mother, and everything I said was a message for her mother.
Wow. Wow.
So as you're going through this, and this is a conversation that I've had with Sandy a lot, like one of my big concerns is, and not even to this level, but just on even on a smaller level, when you have stuff happen to you, when you have paranormal experiences and stuff like that, the first thing somebody says is, you're going to think I'm crazy, but, and we try to wipe that out because we don't want people to feel crazy about it. What was the response from the people around you when this, I don't want to call it an awakening happened, but when all this stuff started happening to you, what was the response of the people around you?
I've always danced to my own beat. So I think they were like, okay, Holly, pat. I got really good at controlling my gifts, I'd say maybe a decade ago, right? Like I always had them, but then I can turn it off. Right. So that way I can be a person and just have a conversation with you, or not always be reading people or being overwhelmed by information. I've always been really good at that. So, I mean, now that I've gotten really good at it, except COVID killed that for me because there was so much fear that it actually tipped me over into a depression. So I think the weird and the woo-woo, I've always kind of embraced that I'm different. So, but finding people and language around it to know that I wasn't alone was awesome.
Right. And you talk about being able to shut it, or learning to shut it off. Is that something you learned by yourself, or did somebody help you through that process?
That's a really good question. I think by taking classes and controlling my gifts, I learned that I can say no. Like, I think a really beginning step, maybe some people like watching right now, you might have dreams. Right. So everyone in my family has some sort of gift. You know, my grandmother had amazing intuition about people. So we just knew that the women had like those gifts. My dad used to dream about someone right before they died. This is not a gift that I would want. Right. So you can also say I would get overwhelmed by my dreams. The color was super vivid and I knew something else was like amiss at the Circle K. So when I talked to someone I trusted and how they taught and how their gifts like resonated with me, they're like, you can tell them to stop. And I was like, oh, I didn't. Right. So like I've gone into haunted places and when they won't leave my room, I'm like, you need to get out. You're not invited. And you really can get them to leave that way.
You know, it's been a real journey. We were talking about my journey a little bit before we went live, and it's been a real journey for me to learn. I think over the years until recently, the past year or so, I didn't know what was going on. And so I think I just, as a defense mechanism, I would block a lot out. I look back at a lot of things growing up and I thought I was depressed and I thought I was crazy. But it was really just these gifts that were there and it was hard. And so learning how to block has been very important. Even Todd and I are very intuitive with each other. We pick on each other quite a bit. And so there was even an incident where I was going into an investigation that may have been a little trickier and a little more difficult.
Dark energy for sure.
Yeah, some dark energy. And he wasn't feeling well. He was sick at the time. And he said, I just want you to block me.
Stomach? Did you like throw up that day? My throat is starting to hurt, but my nausea is outrageous when you're just talking about that story. So
yeah, it was really bad. I had to really block him out for like 2 days straight. I couldn't pick up on him. So I'm learning how to block. And I think that's so important. That was a great point you brought up. It's so important to learn how to block these things, to say no, to set your boundaries, and to ground yourself. Make sure you're grounding.
Grounding was hard for me because I was so used to kind of feeling a little detached. Like I used to have bruises all over because like I would just walk into shit, right? Because I wasn't in my body. I'd be like I'm a dancer. So once you give me a count, I'm there. But otherwise I'm like boink, boink. Like I'm just bouncing off of stuff. So for me, grounding used to be depressing. I felt very limited by the earth, whereas I could feel so much stuff up here. But what I've learned is to to create better boundaries, that it's not a turn off unless it's a total, you're saying no, but to help people just at the beginning, I use very visual cues. I will use a color. I will use an animal if it helps them see something different. So a boundary can be anything that really works for you. And grounding for me is, I like to ground in nature, and nature can be volatile and it's got power and it blows, and it's so you're not stagnant. And for me, the hardest concept really about grounding was that it is not a stagnant thing, that you are still receiving energy, but you're just kind of connected to the planet. I mean, that's super woo-woo, but yeah.
No, but you're right. You're 100% correct. And with COVID, the other point that you mentioned that I want to bring up is, with COVID, it was very tough for me because you can ask Todd, I was an absolute wreck for a very long time, especially in the beginning. For several months in the beginning, I was a wreck. I was taking in, because you can take in individual emotions, you can take in the world's emotions, you can take in everything. And, what piece of advice would you give to someone who is just learning about their gifts and maybe struggling in their transformation or their transition into being able to understand them better? What piece of advice would you give them in that learning process?
I think you have to be gentle with yourself. Don't compare your gifts to other people. And I honestly think the first question you should ask yourself is what I'm feeling mine or someone else's? And that just,
how do you know?
Yeah, that is the super, because I always liken it into this story. So like, you know what it feels like when you walk into a room after there's a fight, right? There's a sizzle, there's something that's uncomfortable and you can feel it, right? So when you're being overwhelmed by a feeling, like, you can imagine it being a room and walk into it. And then, is it mine? Am I reacting to something? Like when you have gifts, people get pissed off at you for no reason. They, they have interesting reactions because your lightness, right, could be whatever. I personally do not deal with any dark energy because it's messed with me. And I don't open that door. I think a lot of people think they know how to do it and they open doors, they can't close it. And I think it's a lot of trouble. But I think the first part of it is discerning what is mine and what is yours or is some other thing. And again, if you're really just starting out, I would longhand write something out and be like, what is that feeling that I'm feeling? Is it anger? Like define it. And then what would have made me feel that way? And if there's not an answer, like, this is super just like to kind of help sort it. If there's not an answer, maybe you're feeling something else. And it's like
Makes total sense. Yeah. There have been days when I've texted him and said, I just feel horrible today. And there's absolutely no reason in the world why I should feel nervous or anxious or depressed. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, but you have a lot of energy in that room that you're in, and it's all above you in the ceiling and in the corners. Like, so if it was me, I think my interpretation of what I'm looking at the screen right now is that you like feeling the connection and you're exploring that. So you leave the door open a little all the time. So when they want to zap you, they zap you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do try to cleanse whenever possible.
Hello,
yeah,
hello. Is the hello?
Be
is anybody
quiet.
there?
Get some Zoom mist. Just spray that shit. It's all over my house.
We actually talked about this because, she'll say that there's not a lot going on in her house as far as activity is concerned. And yet, she doesn't have a lot of paranormal activity. But I always, and yep.
He's way more grounded than you. You're so curious. You're open here and you're open here. And so it's like all behind you. You can just be like, I need to go to sleep. You need to be quiet. Or like an energetic boundary. Like I have a really basic, I call it my basic meditation. It's in my book. I post it all the time on Instagram. But it is just to clear energy, to cut the cords, return energy that is not yours to who it belongs to with love and light and an energy. And then you're going to feel the difference.
I need that. I could name, I don't want to do it now, but like, you can like name them. They'll tell you their names. These people, they're kind of,
they're like hungry for your attention. So why would they bother you? I feel like you get an itchy spot sometimes too, like on your head. And I feel like that's them like literally like going, tapping you.
Well, that's interesting because I do.
See, I thought she just had lice. I just thought it was a lice situation and we were going to get her dipped. But we,
get me dipped.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting because I do. So there you go. That makes sense. We have to talk afterwards really quickly. But so
simple clearing, Zoom mist, eucalyptus, or if I were, if you even just brought a piece of selenite into the space.
I have a lot of selenite in my, I do. I have.
Is it around you right now?
Yeah. It's like I have it all around the room. And I also sage as well.
But you leave the door open.
I know. I don't.
It's like, you know what she does? I got to tell her I'll tell you what she did one time at an investigation. You probably heard this story 150 times. I know our listeners have, but there was a dark mist at an investigation and she just decided she was going to walk into it because she didn't feel scared. There was no fear there.
Interpretation of it.
No, it's not. That's exactly what happened. That's what happened. And I just said, don't do that anymore. Just be
Was it
careful.
like a Victorian Woman space? Was that who that was there? Like, where were you?
I was in. I was
because
in.
She just connected with you. She went through you. She did your knees down, like she wanted to kind of walk in your feet.
I actually, in that area, I had to sit down. I felt it through my chest as well. And it wasn't when I was in the mist, but it was right in that area. She tried to form at one point. We saw her at one point.
She's actually quite nice. She's not a bad spirit. She's tired. You guys can help her cross over. You got to learn how to open the door to light and let them through.
She's going to light up a cigarette and walk through a dark mist and then come out the other side and say everything's great.
It was just a lot of heavy, heavy residual energy. It used to be a speakeasy. There was a fire down there. There were some lives lost. So it was a very heavy, heavy energy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't demonic. It didn't feel demonic, but it was definitely there. It was definitely.
She was definitely young. She was definitely, there's two people. One feels Victorian. One feels more of the entertainer who was there. Mm-hmm. So that's what I feel.
I believe her name, if this is the same spirit, I believe her name is Annie. I picked up on her name and our equipment went crazy when I said her name.
Yeah, I hear the knee, so I thought it was more of like a Nia, but yeah.
Very well. So,
I'm not the best with names. I get sounds. But
yes.
Yeah.
I just get names that all of a sudden will come to me. And usually
so you should ask those three people behind you what their names are. They're just biting
I probably should. Are they relatives?
God, would you just get on this with her? What is that? I think one's name's relatives. Yeah, you opened a door, girlfriend.
I know.
And the thing is, I can say all I need to say, but she doesn't listen to me.
So she's your teenager.
The fact that you're telling her, well, oh my God, somebody shoot me. Look, I need to go down to the bar and get really drunk like my dad did when I was a teenager. No, I always worry about her only because I want her to learn what she's got going on. I want her to be able to learn to control it, but I want her to be careful because when you leave that door open, you don't necessarily know what you're leaving it open to.
Right.
And you can say, well, I'm protecting myself and I'm grounding myself and I'm saging and I'm selenite and black tourmaline and all that kind of stuff. It still scares me a little bit, you know?
I know. And I'm careful. I'm learning how to, I'm careful. I'm learning how to,
She just sighed at you. She just sighed at you.
Wait, they're telling me you can't go into a jail. Please don't go into a jail. Don't go there.
I have to go into a jail. I have to go into a jail.
Honestly, I'm really not joking with you. If before you do that, you got to work with me because it's bad juju in there. There's like a murderer in there and it's like really bad. So if you go in there, you don't want to bring that out.
I know. I'm going into a jail. It's a fundraiser.
Todd,
I can't believe this.
Help me.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because the fact that you knew that blows me away.
This is what I do.
So you just said, don't go into a jail.
And nobody knows that because it hasn't been announced at this point. It hasn't been announced.
Did I ruin
that's
anything?
okay. Nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. But yeah.
No, plus we can always just say her family was part of the mob, so it could just be something to do with that too.
Well, maybe it was back in the day. But no, yeah, you can't go in that jail. It's not good for you. I feel like you're going to get hurt. And not like, I don't like it.
I know.
You're not going to listen to me, and now I have witnesses who's out there, who's watching. But I don't really I don't like it. I would tell you, like, I'm getting nauseous from it. My jaw is hurting.
I do know what I'll be dealing with. I am prepared for what I do know who I'll be dealing with. I know who I'll be dealing with.
Okay. You know what? This is what you're saying. I know that's a really sharp Ginsu knife, but I'm still going to hold the blade in my teeth. With the blade facing my thing, while the red balloon sticking out from the... No.
I know.
I am totally putting you on speed dial next time I have a conversation with Sandy.
It's just, can you put it off? I think you could put it off.
It's a difficult one.
You're doing the whole Halloween thing. Oh my God, don't do it.
I know.
Don't. I would reconsider who and what you bring around you.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
It's your choice. That's all I can do.
It makes sense.
People don't like it when I do
that.
But
I know. No, and I feel like
for me, my right ankle is hurting. So I don't know, because the screen is messed up, if I'm mirroring you or it is your right ankle, but something about that event and your right ankle is no good.
Okay. All right. Oof.
Going to be bitten by a snake or something.
No, I don't know if you end up in a boot or you have a boot when you go there. Something like a twisted ankle.
I am pretty klutzy. I rolled my ankle once standing. I wasn't walking. I was standing. I rolled my ankle.
And she wonders why I worry about her.
So I am pretty klutzy. So I know. I
actually think you tripped over like a ghost dog on that one and you didn't know it.
Stick around. We'll be right back. In the meantime, here's something pretty cool to check out.
Tarot time. If you're listening to this podcast, the divine messages are definitely for you. Let's combine science and magic, shall we? Root cause analysis, business planning, counseling, and good old-fashioned intuitive tarot readings, so we can improve your near future circumstances by addressing your present scenarios. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For more in-depth tarot consultations, please book your readings at positivetarotwisdom.com. Infinite love and blessings for everyone.
Now, let's get back to the episode. A ghost dog.
Mm-hmm. Like, so when I'm in Charleston's a super intense place for me to be, just because of slave murders and like slavery energy. But there's so much history there. Like when I'm walking down the street, I see pirates. So fun. Pirates. But there's a lot of children, right? There's a lot of children who died. And there's also lots of animals, like dogs and that run in packs, and they're ghosts. And I just see them. It's really trippy.
That interests me very much, because I do believe that that their energy does remain. When you're bonded, I believe their energy does remain. So a lot of people don't think so. That, you know how you grew up with the whole idea of animals don't have souls, or
no, I didn't grow up like that.
I heard that my whole life. Animals don't have souls. Well, I believe that they do, and I do believe that the energy definitely stays with you.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Running packs.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If you're someone maybe like me or more talented than me, and you've got some intuition, you've got some abilities, blah, 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 blah. What's the two questions? Number one, what's the best way to block that off if that's something you don't want to have anything to do with? And number two, what's something you can do to help open that up a little
for
bit?
you should be you need another medium. So you either need to be casting stones or using cards or reading. I'm looking on my bookshelf because I have so many fun things over there. Or not rune stones, but something similar. For you, that's what you're really connected to, that kind of Wiccan, Stonehenge-y, but the word starts with an A that they're telling me, and I don't know what it is.
I believe that Todd has many more abilities than Todd, I think, wants to believe he has sometimes.
I think he just doesn't want to deal with it. It's like a hassle.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is.
Life is tough enough, you know?
But I think if you played with stuff like that, like I think in a past life, you knew how to read bones is kind of how I'm seeing it. You know how they would have the knuckles or whatever in a bag or with herbs. Anyway, you did. So
that's what I want for Christmas. Knuckles in a bag. In fact, that'd be a great name for a band too. Knuckles in a bag.
Knuckle bones. Just knuckle bones. I'm going to have to write that one down. I think it's very easy to block. So I believe in God. However you need to worship or believe in God is totally up to you, because for me, spirituality is not limited to dogma. They don't care what you call them. They don't care where you come from. So I think even if you don't want to be receptive, you have to be open to a universal source of love. Right. So, and you just ask for protection, and you can ask for it above, to the right and left, all around. Simple as that. I mean, I'd have to do it a bunch of times until you're sincere or whatever. Or if you're interested, you can say, I only want to know this. You can ask for it any way you want. And I think that's also a tricky thing to kind of learn as well.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. But like, it's funny, like looking at you two look like you come from the same root and you just branch different. Like that's like energetically looking at you.
So different. So different.
I love it.
Like very different.
Yeah, but not really.
I love it.
Like she's over there and I'm over there.
Yeah,
that's exactly how you look on my screen. How did you do that?
I love it. Well, I've always told him I believe that we're soulmates. I believe that we really are. Like BFF, like we were just meant to meet. We were BFFs. We were meant to meet. You know, there's a reason why we did. You know,
I think so too.
I do.
I don't know. I'm not like, this pissed my husband off. I'm not really a believer of soulmates. Like I'm not. Mm-hmm. I believe in soul groups.
Okay.
For me, it's you encounter people over and over again, that whatever. Kabbalistically, if you choose to live with your soulmate, it's a really hard life because you choose to take on monumental lessons. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I mean, my life is hard enough. I don't think I want that too.
Tell me about it. Do you believe that, now I'm of the belief that you can have several soulmates in your life. These are people, maybe that's along the lines
of soul group, right?
Groups.
Yeah, you have like this connection. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain people, like I feel like my husband is my soulmate. I feel like Todd is my soulmate. There haven't been that many people in my life that I would consider that.
So you're polyamorous is what you're saying.
Exactly. There you go.
And that concludes this broadcast. Please send all correspondence to Sandy Silverstein Stonestein.
No, but I totally agree with you. I think that there are several people in your life that you truly are crossing paths for a reason. Yeah. You know, why they are in your life.
I think those like awesome spiritual moments, like otherworldly things, mm-hmm. I think they happen like a bunch of times too. Like this story came to mind today. I was driving with my kid and the front end of a car was on the sidewalk. Basically, there had been an accident. And my daughter was like, how does that happen? I was like, oh, I was in a car accident that happened. And I was in such a state of shock. This person appeared, this man, and he helped me pick up the front end of my car because I can pick up the front end of my car. No, obviously I really can't. Picked it up and put it in my trunk until the police came to help. And then the police are like, so what happened? And I was like, oh, da-da-da-da. And then this man helped me. And they're like, there is no man. No one else saw this. I believe it was an angel who totally came and like helped me lift the front end of my Honda and stick it in the trunk so I could get to work. So
I totally believe that.
Yeah. Super cool.
I do. I totally believe that. That's amazing. And you do intuitive coaching, correct?
Coaching? I'd like to stay away from that word. I think a lot of people like that word and then they have certificates proving that they do that word. Todd likes that answer.
I want a certificate.
Like, I paid you money and now I have a piece of paper.
I want something on paper.
What's a good word? How would you describe what you do? Healing?
I just do. I like that healing. My daughter is now calling me a spiritual guidance counselor, which amuses me to no end.
I love that.
Yeah. I think is working with me is very similar to like this conversation. I am feeling things looking at you. I'm going to tell you what I see, the impressions that I feel. If you're in a place of pain, insecurity, in not knowing what to do next or kind of lost and stuck, if you and I meet and I'll talk to you and I'll feel those things, I can help guide you for the choices you want to make, not me. Right?
Yep.
There are a lot of people who like to get people to do a certain thing, but I have no say so. It's your life. You can make a choice and I can give you my insight. But if that's not a choice you want to make, okay, make your choice.
Right.
And then if that doesn't work, you know what the best thing about life is? You get to make another choice.
Right.
People like get stuck in, I call it getting stuck in the groove of a record. They do what they think they know, even though what they know isn't working. So I like to say, I lift it and I go, dust off that thing and just help you get back on your way so that we can build a trust. And then if you get to another point in your life where something's not working, then I can help you again. I have been through some messed up things in my life. So I just think the worst days of your life don't have to define you or limit you.
I love that.
Love it.
I love that.
Love that. Our friend Drew reached out kind of in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. He says, this convo is intense, learning a lot. Also, any chance anyone can feel the energy around the Milwaukee Bucks? Bucks in 6.
You know, I don't have that gift. I like to say if I knew stocks and stuff, I might be like in a very different... My husband is not into that.
I love that when people say, well, if you have abilities, why don't you win the lottery? You know, it's like, come on.
I'm not that good at math. No,
I did. really quick story. Todd and I both did our manifesting last week, as we were supposed to. And one of the things that I learned from one of our intuitives that comes on the show all the time is that you have to be as specific as possible when manifesting to get what you want. So I said, I want to win a scratch-off lottery ticket. And we went to Vermont last weekend. I said, I want to get one in Vermont and I want to win the ticket. And I just need to be comfortable. I don't have to be rich. And lo and behold, we won $7. I was so excited. I was so excited. Those are my abilities, apparently.
I know. I think that whole manifesting thing I find tricky too, because I also can fall into the trap of I have an idea of how I want it to be, but that idea doesn't always actually work. Yeah, and you might be asking for something smaller than maybe what can come.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like to just leave that open.
See now, and that's what I was taught. I was taught kind of know the outcome you want and then put it out there for it to kind of unravel the way it needs to unravel. The last time we manifested, within days, our manifestation came true. I needed a new gig and I needed it fast because what I was doing was killing me. And literally within a week of doing that,
it was crazy.
I was onto something new.
With bottles, colored bottles with you?
Oh, goodness sakes. My mom.
Because all I'm seeing looking at you now is all these colored bottles.
Yeah, my mom and dad would collect milk bottles, old milk bottles from when they used to deliver to houses and stuff. And she would line the top of the cabinets with them, but she would put colored water in them. So they're all different colors. And my sister Vicky's on tonight. She's got a couple of those in her house. I've got a couple of
Vicky has them in a much more accessible place than you do, though.
Well, yeah, hers stand out a little bit. I think hers are right in front of the window, if I remember properly, and mine are kind of behind some other stuff in the kitchen.
Vicky says, oh my gosh, the colored bottles with hearts. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I want to ask you something. This is kind of personal, but my mom passed away a couple of years ago. My sisters have constant contact.
Did your mom have like a crooked smile? I feel like one side of her mouth pulled up more than the other.
She did at the end, yes. But I don't have that. And I've had a few instances since she passed away where something came through. There was some communication of some sort, but I don't have the daily affirmations or the daily communication with her. And I'm the one who's a ghost hunter. Before she passed away, I said, you can come to me anytime.
She does all the time for me. Like, do you see how I'm going like this? So I don't know if it's a necklace or part of a shirt line. You also are very specific in just our conversation. You don't really want to hear things. So your mother doesn't want to bother you because you used to like bark at her a little bit.
Oh, damn it, mother.
Right? There was an instance many months ago when Todd was at sort of a shrine. And he felt his mother there with him. She was definitely there.
Yeah,
with
she definitely was. Was there red there? I'm seeing red now too. I think she whispers to you all the time, and you're slightly pigheaded, is her opinion. So, if you
Just
can ask for, see, that won't work. So a lot of people feel really comforted when they see a specific bird or a butterfly, but that stuff won't work for you. That's not really what you want.
Yeah.
If you want to, you'll be able to smell her. And she has a thing about your hands too. So like I would just, how do I explain this? It's really about a heart being vulnerable there, and you are protected, right? You are like, you know me, but you know this part of me, person. And
thank you.
And
yep.
Thank you.
But if you would like to feel your mother, you might take a moment during the day, dare I say the word meditate, and just get quiet. And if you let down that pressure, you'll feel her rush in. But because you have that layer, it's funny because it's a layer of disbelief, even though you're a ghost hunter and you feel and believe in all of those things, because it's personal and sentimental, you're much more skeptical. And I'm
so
going to let
sense.
you do that. So like, but my thing is like, I would, it's something about a hand. I don't understand like that. I don't know if it's how she held your hand or she holds your hands in your sleep, and I'm holding my left one up, and it's like, it's just something like beautiful. Like the feeling is like I kiss your hand, but it's over here, not on the top, but over like by your pinky and ring finger, kind of part of your hand.
Okay.
But I mean, I could zap you and you could feel it, but like you're like, you have that, I'm not quite sure I want that ability thing. So
don't zap me.
just a little energy. I won't do it.
I've got this crown chakra headache going on the last 2 days. That's enough for me to deal with. Yeah, is that what it is? Okay, good.
So interesting. And you're right. He has a lot of potential.
They're talking like
I think Todd is scientific about his approach, and so he won't really trust his intuition because he believes more in the scientific, like this. Like you have boxes to check. You're like, okay, this and this and this.
Correct.
Okay, so how about next time you tick 3 boxes, you leave an open box to feel? Because I feel like when you're around ghosts, your hands and feet get cold.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff happens then.
And you don't like it.
Interesting.
So like, why would you like let that, right? It's cold, man. My hands are like cold and clammy now. So you can keep that part to yourself.
That's my heart. That's my cold.
I think you actually
heart.
have quite a smushy heart, but you have
quite
a beautiful.
He does.
So
Thank you, Holly. He does. He does.
He does.
But I think that he closes himself off from a lot of things that
he likes proof.
Yeah.
I do like proof. I do. Because it's what we do. I got another question. Pick 2. Somebody comes to you and says, give me 2 books that I absolutely have to read right now.
I can't.
They can be yours. They can be somebody else's, but give me 2.
Or a book.
Yeah.
Of course you have to read mine. Duh. Mine is doable, and it's got homework and it's part journal. So like every step I give you practical things so you can actually do it and feel good about yourself. Isn't that the whole point? And then another book. I'm such a reader. That's super hard. Actually, I'm rereading Tom Brown's The Vision. Is it The Vision?
Ooh.
It's really old. My book is over there. It's yellow and it smells like an awesome book from the 70s because I think that's when I got it. And even though it's written like people wrote books before, it's very telling. It's not very showing, whatever, book talk. There's something about him. He was mentored by a Native American, I think it's Stalking Wolf, something. Anyway, but every time I read that book, I'm zoomed to that time and space. I get super dizzy and I get all sorts of information. And that's one of the first books I ever read that made me understand that perhaps I had some gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way that I didn't know. My daughter has gifts. I am super communicative with her about it because I don't want her to feel the way like I felt or that probably you felt that you were bringing up before.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's wonderful that you are so. Now, are her abilities a lot like yours?
I don't know. She's a bigger empath and a teenage girl empath. Whew.
Oh.
Just don't even. Yeah. But when she's in a mood, it tickles my elbows. I'm like, oh, just take that back. I don't want it.
Yep.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Wow. So, Holly, where can people get more information about the books that you do? What is your website? All that good information where people can find out more and how to contact you.
Thanks. I am most active on Instagram at Holly Hughes Intuitive, right there. Ooh, wait, I can't get that screen right.
He's good. He's good.
So good. Thanks, Todd. My website is hollyhughesintuitive.com. Yes. And I'm on all the other things on Twitter. It's HGirlLA. I'm on YouTube, but hardly ever. I have to pay attention to that. But really most active on Instagram. And my book info, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I'm trying to get into local bookstores because it's really important, I think, to support businesses where people work in your community. In Charlotte, I'm at Park Road Books. Mercury retrograde really messed with my book. So even though my book had been out for a few months, it suddenly disappeared. Barnes and Noble's like, not available. And I was like, but it is. They're like, but it's not. And one of my aggregators is like, it's suddenly on hold. So I guess some people, Amazon might be the easiest, larger distributor.
Right.
I don't know if Barnes and Noble fixed that. Ebook, paperback. I do win a free healing session once a month. I've done this since the pandemic started, because if you're interested and you're curious about it, but it's something you cannot afford, I want it to make it available. So that's really important to me as well.
Do you see a shift now that we're sort of on, dare I say, going towards the other side of the pandemic? Do you see a shift in a little bit less of the darker, heavier energy that people are feeling and going through? I know it's been really tough for everybody.
I think this year, 2021, is a year of letting go and shifting what you thought it was supposed to be like what you thought your career should be like, what you thought your relationship should be like. You have to let go of friendships that maybe aren't working anymore. And that's a lot of grief there in a different way.
Yeah.
I think the fear has settled down, but I think those people in power are still really trying to control you with fear. And all the messaging about how you take care of yourself is fear-based. And so I know it's the age of Aquarius, whoop, whoop, Aquarius. So I'm really looking forward I don't know how the light is going to present itself, but I think it's even people like you, right? Like, here's stories, there's part of the world that maybe you're not noticing. Let's just pay attention to the whole world.
Yeah. It's true. I know for myself personally, everything that you just mentioned, I have been through and I am still going through. And I think of all the times in the world for me to start sort of transitioning or transforming myself and maybe starting to learn how to manage and embrace my gifts, this was the time that I was supposed to do it.
100%.
Because I've been through the whole gambit of emotions and feelings, my own and everyone else's, and changed careers and changed friendships and the things that I
changed hairstyles. I mean, you actually went through that. Yeah.
That's fun. That's the fun one. But yeah, I can understand what you're saying. I've lived it myself. So And your website again is
HollyHughesIntuitive.com.
And I was on there, and there's a really cool section about the benefits of intuitive energy healing. And there's a million reasons why this is such a wonderful thing. And I went through them, and it's just amazing. So
Thanks.
love you on Instagram. Totally have been following you. Loving everything about you. We just think you're wonderful. Would you please come back on with us?
Oh, my God. Call me every week. This is too fun.
Okay.
Now
There's
I'm
so
like,
much that we didn't even talk
Todd,
about
we gotta
tonight.
talk about that social life of yours, though. But...
No, there doesn't need to be any social life.
Yeah. I'm going to wait for you two to meet to make sure you both have bottom halves of your bodies so that we know that that's real.
We already talked about taking pictures so people know that we're real.
Just
that we're not just some sort of animatronic things that go on. Yeah, I know, right? We would love to have you come back on. There's so many other things I wanted to talk about. We didn't even get a chance to
Did we
talk
run out
about
of time?
it,
It went so fast.
We did. I know. It flew by. But I will be in touch with you. We will definitely, without a doubt,
Be careful
have you back on.
of that jail. Be careful of that.
I will.
Thank
I will.
you.
I knew. You know what? This is how intuitive I am. I knew he was gonna be like bothering me after the show tonight too. So I will. I'll be very careful. I'll figure it out. I promise.
That's Holly. That's what we should have called it. That's like an
That's
80s,
Holly.
80s sitcom. That's Holly.
That's Holly.
So.
She is. Isn't she something? Isn't she? And I will say this.
I miss her. When are we going to have her back?
We can. She and her daughter loves us. Her daughter has been binge watching us.
Get it signed
and
up.
listening to us. So let's get her back on. And it's a blast. It's a blast. And the part where she was talking about the jail.
Yeah.
Everybody will be happy to know that we had to postpone it until the spring. So I won't be getting injured at least until the spring. Yes.
So at least you can plan ahead. Make sure that Medicare and all that kind of stuff is up to date so that when you do bust your ankle.
I'm not that old yet. So she did think that injury I had a few weeks ago with my ankles was what she thought it was going to be. But I don't know. But yeah, alas, the jail is not going to happen.
Let's get her lined up real soon.
Yeah, we'll get her on.
Also, I've got a friend who went to, I think it's called Paracon, but it's something in Michigan. It's one of the big ones. And all of the paranormal TV shows are there. And she got a chance to go. And I reached out to her and I said, now, this is a friend I've known through radio for a while. And a couple of years ago, she moved out to Portland. And I said, you should come on the podcast and talk about your experience there. And she goes, and she's part of a paranormal group. And, oh, yeah. And I said, well, we'll have to work out the details on timing and stuff because, you're West Coast. And she goes, no, I moved back to town last year. So I had no idea she was even in town. She goes, we should probably get together and have coffee. And I'm like, well, yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to that one. And we have some other stuff up our sleeve too. I really want to go to like a Paracon, Todd. We should plan on like meeting up at one. We should.
I don't know.
We should. So we have a lot of cool stuff up our sleeve for this season, including some roundtable discussions with paranormal investigators and experts and authors. So it's just going to be really, really cool. And in just a couple of days, getting ready to head out to see you.
What?
It's coming. It's coming. Almost 2 years in the making. You're so excited. I know. You can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. We were making plans the other day. We're going to have a busy, fun weekend.
I will make a prediction now. It's going to be the most awkward 3 days in the history of life.
Oh, stop it.
It is.
Will
It's going to be
not
awkward. It will be like, how like when you were little and a family that you knew for a long time but hadn't seen came over and the kids would just kind of sit around going, yeah. And then toward the end, they'd be like, want to go play? And then you'd all play and have a great time. And then you had to go home.
Yes. It'll kick in like on Sunday morning at 11:30.
And then it'll be that'll be perfect because then you'll be there and then gone and I can just relax again.
No, it won't be. One thing, though, that I did think about is I don't think we could know each other better than we do. But at the same time, being in person, it's like different. Our mannerisms and stuff. it is going to be interesting, like seeing our mannerisms and the way we are, like face to face. So it's going to be really cool. I'm very much.
We've never seen each other basically from the chest down.
No, I know, except like in pictures and stuff.
So I mean, you'll get your first crotch shot, which is kind of interesting.
Oh dear Lord, help us all.
We should wrap this up.
All right, everybody, we'll be talking to you next week. Enjoy your week, just like Todd and I will be.
Bye.
Bye.
How many more miles left in this race? How long it takes, I don't know. In the end, it ain't